everyone, this is Eve, and I'm coming to you with Savior, a Ticci Toby X-Reader by Hatsu-Senpai. I'm going to be starting off with Chapter 16. The odd noise rung in your ears as if welcoming you back to consciousness. Still drowsy, your eyes refused to open and you couldn't move. You saw the feeling of alarm as your foggy mind began to clear and the night came rushing back. You'd been waiting patiently for Toby to wrangle Jeff and sipping your drink. You'd set it down for only a moment, and everything went black. The strange and unnerving noises continued, but you couldn't pinpoint exactly where they were coming from. You determined you were in a fairly empty room since every sound echoed. Someone had removed your coat, and your bare arms and legs were pressed firmly against cold metal. The room smelt strange and oddly metallic. You tasted blood in your mouth and figured you'd probably bitten your cheek or tongue. Though you were fairly certain you could move and open your eyes now, you decided to hold off and buy yourself time to think. Whoever was in the room didn't know you were awake yet, and you preferred to keep it that way, if only for a little while longer. A loud crash nearly made you jump and blow your cover. It sounded like it came from the opposite end of the room, behind your head. You thought it may have been glass breaking, but you weren't sure. Someone cursed quietly under the breath, which allowed you to determine your captor was a male. He was shuffling the glass across the floor loudly and muttering, and as he moved farther away from you, let out a slow breath of relief. The man suddenly went completely silent. You felt someone's breath on your neck and flinched. "Good morning," the man chuckled. You slowly opened your eyes to see a man with fine black hair and red eyes leaning over you. He wore a face mask with a sharp-toothed grin painted across the mouth, and you got only a few moments to look at him before he clicked on a bright overhead light. You grit your teeth and winced into the bright light, determined not to let the groan building in your throat escape. The white light seared your eyes through your eyelids, and it took you a few moments to adjust to it. You blinked quickly, colorful spots darting across the room, and a few feet away the man had his back to you, busy cleaning something shiny. You swallowed hard and tried to lift your head up to get a good look around at your surroundings, and your head throbbed with pain and the room seemed to spin. A quiet whimper escaped your lips and the man laughed softly in your ear. He grabbed your hair and yanked your head down, and you yelped as the back of your head thumped against the metal table. Blinking wildly and taking deep breaths, you fought the black, blurry edges of your vision. You knew you had to stay awake, and you closed your eyes for just a moment to escape the blinding white light that caused your head to throb harder. The man tisked with a shake of his head, and you heard him tapping a syringe. "We can't have you falling asleep now, can we?" he grinned. He gently brushed your hair away from your neck and held your chin firmly between his thin fingers as you tried to shake your head to escape the thick blue liquid. Despite your protest, the man plunged the needle into your neck, and your body began to feel stiff. You were wide awake, but you couldn't move, and with a dry throat, you tried questioning the man to buy some more time before he put his instruments to work. Why did you take me?" you rasped. "I didn't," the man shrugged. "I had a friend fetch you for me." "But why?" "Because," he snickered, "I've had my eyes on you for quite some time, and my deepest apologies for causing you to take that tumble off the roof, by the way." You recalled the party at Slender Mansion when someone on the roof had startled you and caused you to come crashing down into Toby's arms. You hadn't thought of it in quite some time and almost forgot that it even happened entirely. "That was you?" "Of course it was me," he smiled and reached for his scalpel. "I needed to be sure you were the one." "The one?" "Yes, the one," he sighed. "Are you done interrogating me yet? I have work to do. And one last question." "Get on with it. Who are you?" "I'm Dr. Smiley," he smiled softly and pointed the scalpel at your stomach. "And I'm here to help." Ben pushed his way back through the crowd to where he'd seen EJ standing with Jane. The masked boy still stood with the pale, raven-haired girl, and they leaned close to one another, talking in hushed voices. "Evening, Jack," Ben snapped. "How's your date going?" Jack turned to face the smaller boy, and though Ben couldn't see his eyes, he knew EJ was giving him an impatient look. "I know you're worried about her, but I'm trying to help, just like you," EJ sighed. "I think Jane could be of some assistance. She always seems to find Jeff, and though that isn't very hard, seeing as Jeff is a complete idiot, she may be able to help us find who we're looking for." "I've heard some talk," Jane shrugged. "Some of the other pastas have been chattering about a man looking for someone called the One." "The One?" Ben echoed. "Apparently, the One is the only person who can take down Zago." "Zago, an experienced creepypasta can't even scratch him." Ben gasped. "Are you saying whoever this guy is took Ryan because he thinks she's the One? She's just a human." "That's why I think this guy took her," Jane frowned thoughtfully. "The One is prophesied to be a pure human girl with no blood soiling her hands." "Lion has never killed anyone," EJ interjected. "Her blood is supposed to be like acid to Zago." "Her blood, but doesn't that mean—" Ben choked. Yeah, Jane nodded. Whoever has her doesn't need her alive, they just need her blood. That is the end of that chapter. The chapter after this one is chapter 17. Author's note. Warning, this chapter is not proofread. I'm too lazy. XD. I wish you the best of luck in deciphering whatever mistakes I've made. Are you sure this will work? Ben asked Jane as he followed after her through the woods. There's no way I can be positive, she shrugged, but hopefully. Well, we've got to try something. Toby spat impatiently and stormed ahead of the group despite the fact that Jane was the only one who knew where they were going. Small Dog darted ahead and fell into step behind him. His big red and black head hung low to the ground as he sniffed. I believe that if we can get the guy's name, we can find his friends, Jane stated, casting a wary look towards the hunched-over figure of Toby. They may help us locate his hideout. What are you gonna do, threaten to kiss them? Ben snorted. It would surely make me rat you guys out. Jeff growled and shoved his hands in his hoodie. How flattering, Jane said with a sickly sweet smile. Jeff was very unhappy to be working with Jane and she was with him, but they both seemed to be making an effort to behave for Toby and YN. Though Jane didn't know YN very well, she put all her effort into finding her, mostly for Toby. He'd been a wreck since she disappeared, and Jane recalled the first time she met YN and saw the way that Toby looked at her, the wonder in his eyes. And she loved seeing Toby so happy, and it pained her to see him without that look. So what exactly is your plan, then? Ben asked. Jane paused for a moment before answering. The Rake owes me a favor, so we can see what he knows and what he doesn't. And if he knows isn't helpful, we can send him out to bring back something that is. And what makes you think that creep will cooperate? Jeff scoffed. Let's just say he owes me quite the favor. He wouldn't dare flake on me. Jane shrugged. How much farther? Toby called from ahead. Take a left when you reach that snarled tree stump and keep going until you see a large metal tunnel on the side of a hill. You can't miss it, but wait for me at the door. If he sees you, odds are he'll run. Jane shouted back, and she watched Toby stalk off wistfully and frowned. You think he'll be okay? Ben sighed. I hope so, Jane replied. He'll be fine, EJ stated firmly. We just have to find YN and he'll be fine. But what if she's... Jeff began, but Ben cut him off. She's fine, he snapped. We're going to find her and she's going to be okay, got it? Everyone was as on edge as they could be. They were all concerned about YN for their own reasons, each one different from the next. The way that Ben missed YN was different from the way Toby did or the way EJ did. Even Jeff was upset and worried about her, as much as some of them didn't want to admit it. YN was part of the family now, and there was no way they were going to leave her behind, ever. The four solemn pauses went about the rest of the walk in silence. The sun was beginning to set, and bright orange and pink lights streaked across the sky like colorful flames. And Toby almost wanted to stop and admire it, but he was too worried to stop moving. He'd been twitching more uncontrollably, and he felt more tense with every jerking movement. They arrived at the mouth of a dark gray tunnel, and Ben peered inside. It was too dark to see the end of the tunnel, and if there was even one to be seen, and it reeked of years of rust and rain. A familiar metallic scent wafted from the gaping mouth of the pipe. Blood. Jane cupped her hands around her mouth and shouted. Broken bones. The heck is that supposed to mean? Jeff scoffed. It's the password, Jane snapped. Yes, a hoarse voice whispered from the dark. It's the password. Ominous, Ben shrugged. I need that favor, Jane said as she approached the direction from which she heard the disembodied voice. What is it? The Rake asked and slowly crept out of the dark, damp tunnel and into the light of the setting sun. He was pale with big black eyes and sharp needle-like teeth. He was crouched on all fours by the end of the tunnel, and his thin skeletal limbs positioned in uncomfortable-looking ways. We're looking for someone who's planning to overthrow Zago, Jane muttered. Well, there is quite the list of those, the Rake hissed gleefully. As someone who's acted recently, within the last 2 days, they would be looking for someone called the One, Jane offered. That narrows it down now, yes? Well then, who is it, she said. Why should I tell you? You owe me. I haven't forgotten. I know you haven't either. Give us their name and we'll go, Jane pleaded. The Rake hissed something under his breath before whispering. His name is the Skin Taker. That's who you're looking for, yes? Thank you, Jane sighed. What does you want him for anyway? Why go looking for a guy like him? The Rake inquired curiously as the group turned to leave. He took something of mine, Toby began. Of ours, Ben interjected. Ours, Toby continued, and we want her back. Her? The Rake grinned mischievously. Don't say anything else, Toby, Jane warned. We can't trust him. Well, that isn't fair, now is it? The pale creature pouted. Jane grabbed Toby by the twitching arm and dragged him away from the cackling creature, leading him and the rest of the group back to the mansion. Jane cast a worried look over her shoulder back at the tunnel as the sounds of the reek repeating her died away. A strange tapping noise came from the door to your left. You were tied to a surgical table, but your head was left on a strap so you could take in your surroundings. Dr. Smiley strode over to the door, opening it, and let someone inside. Your breath caught in your throat as you realized that the visitor was not a someone, but a something. They know, yes they do, the thin, pale creature hissed. Did you tell them what you know? Dr. Smiley inquired. Of course, it grinned, revealing a mouthful of sharp teeth. Good, Dr. Smiley grinned. Everything is going according to plan, then. That is the end of those 2 chapters. The chapter after that one is chapter 18. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and hopefully this was enjoyable for you guys. Until the next episode, I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.